I do a little night check-in. So today I went to Greenwich Village, and that is where the exterior of Carrie Bradshaw's apartment in Sex and the City is located. So I was able to walk down Perry Street and go see her apartment there, and I found other tourists that were taking photos, and I asked them to take a photo of me and was able to get that. So that was really exciting. And also just like the Chelsea and Greenwich Village area is probably my favorite area of town so far. It's like it's beautiful in architecture, but it also feels pretty safe, and like it's a little away from like Midtown, I guess, so you don't feel like you're up, like Midtown's where like Times Square and everything is, so you don't feel like you're right up in like super touristy areas. It's mostly locals that you're walking by. So that's been like, so even just like walking around there was lovely. And then I went to Washington Square Park, where that big arch is. And I'm pretty positive when they were fighting for like gay rights, a bunch of stuff happened in that park, but don't quote me on that. But I'm pretty positive like there's like a lot of like historic like protests and stuff that have happened there. So went there, realized NYU, so the university, all those buildings basically surround the park and the area there. So I walked around there for a little bit and then hopped on a train trying to go down to the Ferry area, which is in like the financial district, and ended up going the wrong way. So then I jumped on the next one going the other direction and ended up in an area of town that like is in between like Chinatown and maybe the financial district, is like in between the two of them, and it was rough. It was a rough area. I was walking down the street and somebody, like, I don't even know fully what he said, but he told me not to keep walking down that way, but I was looking ahead and I was like, I don't really see what it is or whatever. But anyways, I was like, that's where the bus is. So if I want to be able to catch that to end up where I'm supposed to be, I need to keep going. So I guess that's just kind of the reality of the city, is you got to just be alert, but you can't like let it make you back down or be scared of it or anything either. You won't be able to live your life because something's always happening. Like even the subway, they say, oh, don't take this card and stuff like that. I just found out today that Sunday morning, somebody was asleep on one of the trains and someone else came and lit them on fire, lit their clothes on fire. And as if that wasn't bad enough, the train was like stopped and the doors were open, obviously, to let people in and out and everything. He stood there and watched her burn. Like, I can't even wrap my mind around that. So, like, horrible, horrendous, but something's always happening here, so like you kind of have to keep moving, I guess. I don't know how humane that is, but that's the reality of city life, I guess, especially somewhere like here. So yeah, sorry for the horrific story. I just found that out and I needed to tell someone. But yeah, so I eventually got on the bus, and then I guess there's express buses and normal buses, but they all look the same when they pull up to you, or maybe I just haven't noticed, like there's like a special badge or a sign or something on them. But anyways, and they all have the same number. So I got on one of the buses, and I have Google Maps open on my phone the whole time, and we get maybe down like 4 stops or something like that. And he makes an announcement. He's like, "All right, this was the last stop." I just kind of sat there for a second, and everybody else is getting off. And I was like, "Did I hear that right?" And then he says it again, and I'm like, "Oh, sorry, I'll get off." But I'm like, "What the fuck?" So I don't know what's going on. To me, I just got kicked off the bus or whatever. That's supposed to keep going like 10 more stops or something. And then I'm looking at my phone trying to figure out what my next move is because I'm gonna have to start walking. And suddenly another bus pulls up and Buddy's waving at me, and I'm like, "Hey!" And so I jump on, and he's like, "Are you trying to go down to the ferries?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually I am. Like, I don't understand why I got kicked off that other bus." And he goes, "Oh, it's an express, and I go a longer route or something." Fine, whatever. I'm finally on the right bus. So he drops me down basically at Wall Street. The bottom of Wall Street is where the water is. And he drops me off there, and I'm like getting off and everything. He's like, "Wait, I thought you were getting the ferries." And I guess there's a whole like other terminal that he goes directly into, but I was going off to Dumbo, which is like separate or whatever. So it was really nice to have somebody actually look out for me after the other guy kicked me off. So I was like, "What the hell's going on?" So yeah, so I end up there and I'm able to walk down to the ferry. It's Pier 11 is where the ferry is. There's maybe multiple ferry terminals that bring you over there, I'm not sure, but that's the one I used. So Pier 11, and you take the ferry over to Dumbo, and that ride probably lasted like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It was so fast. It was the first stop, so it was a very short and sweet. And then you're basically in downtown Brooklyn. So you're right on the water and you're able to basically explore from there. So there is a market in that area, and I thought it would be called the Dumbo Market. Just assumed. I didn't even look it up. And anyways, there was a Dumbo Market, so I put it in Google Maps. I walked to it and it was a grocery store, and I'm like, this isn't right. I'm like, I know there's a food hall somewhere with like a bunch of vendors and everything, and this isn't it. And so I ended up finding that one. I can't think of the name of it right now. I'll show you guys on the screen. But I ended up finding it wasn't far away from the grocery store. So if you need both, if you want to get lunch and then get some groceries, they're both pretty nearby. But yeah, I headed over there, and what was really unique about this one is it had a QR code that you could scan, and it opened up the whole menu, and you could order from like you didn't have to order from just one vendor. Like I got a drink from a bubble or boba. I got a drink from a boba tea place, and I got a salmon guacamole rice bowl thingy from one of the Mexican places, and both were absolutely delicious. And it was so, and like they just brought it straight to me, and like no questions asked, and I was able to pay for it all through the like it was super convenient and easy. So I loved that, and you could sit anywhere in the town hall, and you could sit anywhere in the food hall, and they would just bring it right to you. So that was awesome. Loved that. And just like the communal kind of living. And like it wasn't really tourists in there either. Like it was like the true locals that were eating in there. So it was neat to kind of like be a part of that, I suppose. And then what else? Then I went walking around. I've been trying to find my mom's Christmas tree is covered in these weird like felt like mice guys. So I keep going into different stores trying to find her like a New York one so she can have like a little piece of that, but I haven't been able to find any yet. I found one today in I think it was West Elm is the furniture store. I was in the beautiful West Elm today. I found one and he was on his sled, but he had like he just looked all disheveled and everything. He was all like ripped apart and fluffy where he shouldn't have been, and he had like a bunch of glue on his head, and I was like, she needs something better than this. So I'm still on a search for these mice for my mom because I want to bring her home something for looking after my pets. So went around a couple shops, and then I went and figured out how to get onto the Brooklyn Bridge as a pedestrian. That's interesting. So you have to walk basically like Dumbo's the very bottom, then you go into downtown Brooklyn as you go further in. So I had to walk up through Brooklyn to get to a certain point where it becomes like a pedway, and then you can go down the middle of basically like the roads on both sides, and you're walking down the middle. Super cool. It was worthwhile after walking like the San Francisco, like the Golden Gate Bridge or whatever. It definitely wasn't that long, but I think that one took me like an hour. I want to say this one took maybe 20 to 30 minutes, if that. Mostly because you're dodging people the whole time when you kind of like stop and take photos and stuff, so that takes some time. And then there's a bunch of signs that it's like no vendors allowed, and then it's just all vendors. Selling all the same stuff. Everybody was selling the same hats, the same pins, the same tote bags. Like, I don't know how they're making money. I guess there's just so many people that it doesn't matter. It's who they see first kind of thing, and that's who they're going to shop with if you're all selling the same thing. So there's an opportunity for everyone to make money. And I walked across that, met a cute guy from New Zealand who ended up taking my photos, and I ended up taking photos of him, so that was a fun exchange. It's nice to feel like you can be like free in that realm again. I haven't flirted with other people in so long. It felt so wrong to do that when I was like committed and in love with somebody else, but that's not here anymore. So now I'm a free person, and we're just kind of working through some of that stuff. So then I came home to take a break because I'm not much of a night owl, to be honest, but tonight I am sucking it up because we're going to the Comedy Cellar. The Comedy Cellar, for those who do not know, is a very, I don't want to even say stylish, like it's a very, like, it's an accomplishment to be a comedian at that cellar. Like it's something that like New York City comedians and comedians all around the States, I guess, really like aspire to perform at. Like it means that you made it kind of thing. Jerry Seinfeld, it was like a regular who pops in there, like Dave Chappelle, like Conan O'Brien, like all these like amazing like New York names. So what's interesting about the Cellar is they give you, like, I just looked at it today, there's like a list of like 5 different names of comedians that are gonna go up there and do stuff, and they're all writers from like Saturday Night Live or Conan or The Late Late Show, and like, so that's by itself is gonna, I know it's gonna be really good because those shows are obviously hilarious. But there's also surprise guests that come out that they don't announce ahead of time because they're so big. And because I'm going at such a late time, I'm hoping to get somebody cool. So cross your fingers for me that someone neat comes out. I love this kind of stuff. I really love going to comedy shows, and I think life can get bleak sometimes. It's been a little weird this month with like my ex-boyfriend passing and stuff like that. So I just want to be able to go and like laugh and have some fun and be goofy for a while. So it's worth it. I'm drinking some coffee now, and I had a bit of a nap and some rest, so I'm feeling up to it. But yeah, that's what we're preparing for tonight. I can't take you guys into the actual show. Apparently they're going to take my phone at the door, and they're going to give that back to me at the end. Praying to sweet fuck I actually get my phone back. I'm sure there's no way they can like pull stuff like that. So anyways, I'm hoping for the best. It's not great though. I don't love the feeling of that. And also I'm gonna have to take the subway at like midnight or like 12:30 or something to get back here. So that's a little worrisome. But anyways, we're gonna navigate it. We're pretending we're a New Yorker. What are you talking about? So yeah, that's what I'm up to. I'm gonna try not to get murdered and have a fun night. So yeah.